Jaron "Boots" Ennis is one of the most exciting fighters in the sport. With his incredible defense, counterpunching, ability to switch stances, and knockout power, the world could very well be his oyster. However, behind the scenes is a man with an unbelievable work ethic, striving to become the best by honing his incredible skills and aiming not only to become undisputed or a multiple weight champion, but becoming one of boxing's future pound for pound greats. In today's How Champions Train breakdown, I'll examine how Boots' training methods and environment have put him well on his way to becoming one of the best in the sport. Before we dive any deeper, let me introduce you to today's sponsor, Boxing Workout for Fighters, a new all-in-one training platform designed for coaches, trainers, and their students. This incredible app helps learners develop into complete fighters faster. Choose from dozens of advanced training modules, design custom workouts, and drill new techniques systematically. Download Boxing Workout for Fighters and master the sweet science. Boxing Live fans can save 15% with the link below. But now, let's get right into it. Growing up in Philadelphia, a city with rich history in boxing that has produced all-time greats like Bernard Hopkins, Joe Frazier, and Saad Muhammad, Jaron "Boots" Ennis was destined for the sport. His rise to success was not just about the city he grew up in, but also the boxing family he was a part of, which he was able to observe from a young age, instilling that belief and drive to become champion. While, from a very young age, he was always in the gym with his trainer dad and brothers. Derek and Farah Ennis, Jaron's brothers, were professional fighters who enjoyed moderate success but did not reach that world-class level. And although both brothers experienced national spotlight on networks such as Showtime and ESPN, neither secured that world title. Despite not having top-tier professional achievements, they provided valuable wisdom and experience to their younger brother Jaron. However, it was their father Bozy who trained all three and led by example. Jaron, the youngest, has benefited from observing and learning from Derek and Farah's career missteps. And after Jaron had a brilliant amateur career, he missed out on the Olympics after losing to Gary Russell Jr. But instead of waiting around, he turned pro in 2016 to start his journey to become the best in the world. It was time to put in the work. Now, before we go into the individual training segments of this video, it's important to note that creating such a versatile fighter like Boots Ennis requires a comprehensive training regimen. In preparation for this breakdown, I watched many of his pre-fight documentaries, listened to podcasts, read articles, and even came across this great Reddit Q&A where he answered many questions about his training. This schedule is what he follows when he's in camp for a fight, but it's still very interesting to see how a typical day looks like for Boots. The times are just a guide, as I saw different sources mention various times. So in the morning between 8 and 9 AM, you'd get up and have breakfast, and for 9:30 and 11 AM, you'd have his first training session of the day, which is strength and conditioning. At 11 AM to 12 PM, he would go back home and have his lunch and rest before getting ready for his afternoon session between 2 and 5 PM, which would be all boxing related training, whether that be sparring, pad work, or defensive drills. After this, he'd go back home again, have his dinner, and between 9 and 10 PM, Jaron goes for a late night run for about 4 miles. And after that's done, he'll head back to bed and sleep. This is just my interpretation from everything I watched and read, but the schedule can change daily obviously. While Boots may also have a recovery session in there too, or even just reduce the workout schedule depending what day it is. But what I want to stress as well is that Boots trains all the time, even outside camp, training 6 days a week, with Sunday being his rest day. He doesn't drink, smoke, chase women. He's focused on only being the best.
That's why I'm so comfortable in the ring, and cause I've been around all my life, and that's all I know. I'm always in the gym, right after the fight, I get right back in the gym, get back to work.
One of the big criticisms I see in boxing today, and something I've experienced myself, is the abundance of trainers and lack of teachers. Luckily for Jaron Ennis, his father is one of those rare teachers. A man who loves the fight game of boxing, but most importantly, leads by example. Even in his 60s, Bozy still trains and spars with others in the gym. Not to mention, Jaron spends most of his time at his father's gym, aptly named Bozy's Dungeon, within the streets of Philadelphia. It's here though that Bozy and his older sons have helped mould Ennis into a spectacular talent we see today. Bozy clearly as well appreciates the art of hitting and not getting hit, with a defense-first mindset to his coaching, while emphasizing the consistent practice of basic fundamentals in his fighters. Here's a short clip of him explaining this philosophy.
How often do you just work on fundamentals in a week?
During the week, like I said, Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday we box. And Tuesdays and Thursdays we work on mostly like the fundamentals, or like, getting out of the way of the shots, work on defense and stuff like that, or or I do certain kind of drills that, like bag work on the drills, or do the rope drills.
What's more important, offensive fundamentals or defensive fundamentals?
Defense. Most important. You must know how to catch a shot and get out of the way of the shot, or even smuggle the shots, because that's most important, because that's how long you last in the boxing game. Not taking too many punches. That's why I rely on a lot.
The father-son trainer and fighter relationships have always been a significant factor within the sweet science. While some of these relationships can be detrimental to a fighter's career, some of the greatest fighters have thrived under such bonds, and Jaron Ennis firmly believes his father is the one that can guide him to the top. And there's no denying him and his brothers have been instrumental in shaping him into the talent he is today.
I'm not fighting without my dad, no matter what. So I'm always have my dad in my corner. He know what's best for me, so I listen to what he got to say and I do it, and that's it.
But now let's take a look at the individual training methods. As mentioned in his regimen, Boots Ennis often goes out on late runs for about 4 miles or sometimes more, depending how he feels. And this commitment is really impressive. The fact that he sometimes has 2 hard sessions in a day and still goes on that late run shows his dedication to improving physically and even mentally. This level of commitment reminds me of the likes of Floyd Mayweather, who is known to have his late night runs or doing workouts in the middle of the night, as he knew no one else would do the same. There is also clips of Boots running on the track and doing his runs in the morning, indicating that he does probably adjust his routine based on his schedule. And like most boxers, the jump rope is a staple in Ennis's cardio regimen. For Jaron, it's a way to get warmed up and get ready for his session while getting into his rhythm for his boxing training. And as expected, Boots is very skilled with the jump rope. And now for the fun part, Jaron Ennis's boxing training. The fundamental way to create the best fighter. But let's go through all the different aspects he works on, which could be considered extensive to some others. First up, shadow boxing. And this is essential for Jaron to work on his form, technique, and even visualization. But what stands out about Boots is that he's focused on specific elements, such as using his jab, working on defensive movements, and then throwing a combination. While as Ennis can fight out both southpaw and orthodox stances, he of course will practice out of both stances, as he looks to be equally proficient in each. Another aspect from watching footage is sometimes even just slows down to perfect his technique, a hallmark for a champion seeking perfection. Too often fighters can rush to try and get the right technique. However, taking your time and simplifying the process to perfecting it is so important if you actually want to understand and throw the punch correctly. And next up is the heavy bag, where Ennis works on his technique for power and for his conditioning. Whether he's working behind his jab, throwing hooks, or delivering a quick burst combination, he's always moving with footwork on the heavy bag. And this is crucial for our defensive first counterpunching style, making him a difficult opponent to hit cleanly. Well, to emphasise this, Ennis has also been seen to use it with a partner, which of course is moving the bag continuously, forcing him to find another route of attack and to continually think. He also uses things like the aqua bag to work on his hooks and uppercuts, while incorporating things like defensive rolls as well. While there's also the wall-mounted bag, which is another tool Ennis uses to practice throwing specific combinations, such as combining straight punches before angling off to throw hooks and uppercuts. While this helps him to practice operating out both stances and attacking from different angles and combinations. So interestingly, I've seen Jaron use all different types of mitt work, including traditional focus mitts, pool noodles, precision sticks, paddles, and the punch shield. And this is great as each tool helps him work on specific punch combinations or defensive movements, for example. And some of the work he does is reminiscent of the famous Mayweather mitt work, teaching fighters to react and the importance of touching and not throwing punches with full force every time. while working on defense and offense, combining with the speed and rhythm of the movements. Personally, it's never been my cup of tea, as it won't necessarily make you a better boxer when it comes to fight night. The drill does keep things fresh and work on something different, so I don't see a problem with it. But saying that, Boots also does normal mitt work with his trainers and his dad as well, focusing on more realistic combinations and scenarios used in an actual fight. For example, when his dad uses the noodles, sticks or paddles, he encourages a lot of defensive movement and counterpunch attacks from Jaron. Jaron also mentioned in his Reddit Q&A how they worked on a technique in training that eventually played out in the fight, showcasing the effectiveness of their training. He said, "When you work on something so many times, it's bound for you to throw that exact shot, do that exact move in a fight. When I fought Abru in September, I hit him with the uppercut, where we were working on that exact catch, rollback and exact uppercut." While Jaron will also work on his punching power by using the punch shield, really putting all his effort into perfecting the technique, while his dad also sometimes uses the body protector to incorporate more body shots within their training session. But what I really like about the footage of him and his dad working together, you can really tell Bozy is trying to work on specific punches and scenarios or defensive movements when training him, and as seen, it clearly works by the time it gets to fight night. In terms of more reaction bags, there doesn't seem to be that much footage of Jaron using these, like the double end bag or cobra bag for example, but from the short clips, it does look like this isn't a problem for him. But one other reaction training tool I thought was quite interesting to see him use was that broomstick tool, which mimics punches coming at you, but most importantly, helps you work on your defense, especially things like slipping punches, using rolls, parries, and even using footwork, as it forces you to react. Otherwise, the broom is going to catch you. And finally, we have sparring. And like any great champion, this is where you can put all the other work into practice. And Jaron has said during camp he tends to do 3 spars a week, while from the available footage, we've seen him do hard spars, while he also looks to just work on defense, as some of his sparring partners just can't seem to land a hand on him. Interestingly, young prospect Joseph Brown gave his first-hand experience watching Boots and being in there with him.
Boots started sparring, and he sparred this one guy, and he like dismantled him, like he just like, gosh, it's like a slaughter. And then they told me to hop in right after that, so I was like, that made me nervous, but it was still great work, and I learned a lot from that. That was like a year ago, and still to this day, there's certain things that I learned from that sparring session that I still do to this day.
Like, is there another quality that's kind of like underrated that he has?
What I tell people is like, you know, there's like a jack of all trades, master of none. He's like a jack of all trades, master of everything. Honestly, like he's so well-rounded in like everything. He doesn't really lack in any certain areas.
That's a hell of a statement, bro.
Yeah, honestly.
Interestingly, Jaron actually said the following about sparring. You gotta have some light sparring, so you gotta work on certain things that your trainer wants you to work on. So I do have a few days where I take it easy and work on stuff. We mainly do medium to hard. Hard sparring takes its toll on some people, but not me. I work on defense a lot. I try not to get hit, so hard sparring for me isn't really hard sparring. And personally, I think this is quite refreshing to hear. For example, he'll also spar with other top champions such as former unified champion Stephen Fulton, but both are just working on their craft rather than trying to overpower or kill each other. While Jaron will also just use simple partner drills as well. Once again, just working on specific defensive movements and counters. Now, Jaron Boots Ennis incorporates a lot of strength and conditioning exercises, as you're soon to find out, focusing on his strength, power, speed, endurance and agility, and even injury prevention, and obviously all with the aim to help him generate more power and build overall strength within that huge frame of his. Even the strength and conditioning coach Rob Acosta wants to challenge him in each camp to make sure he's in his physical prime.
I wanted to just ask you, like, from your point of view, what's he like working with, and what's his mindset like when he's going into these like rigorous workouts you put him through?
You know what, man? He's always in the gym, so he's always training. He's always, you know, he normally stays in shape for the most part, but makes my job a little easier to a degree. But it's also challenging at the same token because he's so athletic. It makes it, I gotta like break him. So like for each camp, it's like, all right, we gotta set a new goal. I gotta try to do this, I gotta try to do that. And if I don't, fulfill that task, then I feel as though like I'm falling off on certain aspects.
Yeah.
But let's take a look at the more useful exercises he does during camp. One of the great strength and conditioning exercises I often see Boots doing is medicine ball throws. This is excellent for transferring force through the kinetic chain. Boots focuses on hip extension and core rotation, which are also crucial components of throwing a powerful punch, as the mechanics involve generating force from the ground up using the legs and hips while rotating the torso before extending the arms to throw the ball, reinforcing the coordination and explosive power needed when in the ring. While another similar exercise Jaron utilizes is the landmine press. Unlike the medicine ball throws, the landmine press is fantastic for transferring force through the kinetic chain again, while there are different methods you can use it, by focusing just on the shoulders for example. Another interesting one we've seen him use are battle ropes, which helps with his shoulder conditioning. And if you haven't done this before, this has a significant burn to your arms and shoulders. While he also does rope wall climbs, helping to enhance his grip, forearm and back strength. While a more old school exercise includes cutting wood or sledgehammers on the tire, which is something we've seen a lot of old school fighters do and many modern fighters use to this day.
It's old school, that's how we was raised.
And once again, this is another great tool for generating power, as it's a full body workout that helps generate power through that kinetic chain movement, starting the force through your legs all the way through your arms before using the chopping motion.
Third workout of the day. If I get these sprints in, let's get it.
And one of the more interesting drills his strength and conditioning coach uses is a combination of sprinting and coordination drills, or should I say mental drills. For example, his coach will use the heckle sticks, which is 3 handles with 3 different colours, and the coach calls out a colour for Jaron, who is moving side to side, forcing him to have to catch the right colour. While to make this even more challenging, we'll make him do in and out ladder drills, focusing Jaron to be laser focused before calling out sprint, forcing Jaron to use that explosive energy. And obviously this drill might be a bit out there for some people, but I think it does a very good job in helping the hand-eye coordination, while it also simulates boxing in the sense that it combines the mental and the physical side, as it forces your concentration to be at peak levels and ready to strike at any given moment. Next up we have tire flips, which helps work out both his legs and arms, pushing off from the legs before flipping the tire. And Jaron also uses the tractor tire for rope pulls as well, working on his arms and back muscles, while they'll even do the farmer's walk, using the tire, strengthening his upper back, shoulders, core and forearms. Jaron has also been seen to do pull-ups, strengthening his arms and back muscles, while also balancing out the exercises he does do by working on his back muscles, potentially aiding in injury prevention. Jaron also performs calisthenic inspired exercises such as planks, bear crawl pushes combined with training tools, while he uses things like the Bulgarian bag or kettlebell swings to help things like rotational movement in his upper body and core, really giving a total body conditioning workout. While interestingly, we've also seen him use the iron neck machine tool, which helps strengthen neck muscles through a 360-degree resistance, which has been said to be a lot safer to use compared to other strength and conditioning methods for your neck. But it's also usually attached to a resistance band, and as you can see from the footage, Jaron does tend to use boxing movements alongside this. And finally, Boots will also train in the swimming pool, doing underwater running on a treadmill, even doing a bit of underwater shadow boxing with small dumbbells. And from what I've seen online, whether this is for a lighter conditioning workout that doesn't put as much impact on his joints or body for example, it still gives him some form of a workout. In terms of some other unique training tools, includes this unique speed spinner, which almost imitates the action of a boxer doing uppercuts, while it helps with your forearms and shoulders. And it does look like Jaron does this as part of a circuit, while alongside this you'll do things like balancing on water balls and the use of resistance bands, doing more isometric exercises. Now as you can tell, there's quite a lot of things Boots does, as he is a professional athlete after all, so please keep that in mind when doing your strength and conditioning sessions yourself. I recommend you check out the guys from Boxing Science or Enhanced Sports Performance who can guide you in this area. Now for someone who trains so often, recovery is absolutely essential for Boots, so he can perform to his best in each training session. And he does use multiple recovery methods, including massages, or even using a massage gun, helping to reduce the lactic acid buildup, improving the circulation and releasing the tension of those sore muscles from the work he no doubt puts in. Another suitable thing he uses, considering his nickname, are recovery boots, which are basically like big sleeves around your legs on your lower limbs to reduce the swelling and inflammation after an intense workout as well, once again helping to speed up the recovery so boots can be in the best condition for his next training session. Another more modern recovery method, and you see a lot of fighters use this nowadays, is cryotherapy or cold therapy, once again helping reduce the inflammation to aid recovery so boots can get back right on it. He emphasises the importance of recovery sessions to train harder and reduce the risk of injuries. But it's also important to note that Boots usually does take a Sunday off for a full recovery day, and no doubt he needs it after a hard 6 days of training. Another big part of Jaron's recovery and even for his performance is his diet. And I really do think this is essential so he's able to work out so often. Once again, from his Reddit Q&A, he did reveal what a typical day might look like for him. So, in the morning he might have a healthy wrap with egg whites and turkey bacon, orange juice and water. After he's done his morning session, he said he might have another wrap with grilled chicken, alongside some vegetables such as spinach or broccoli. While he said at dinner, he'll have a substantially bigger meal like pasta with salmon, broccoli, mashed potatoes or brown rice for example. While he's also said because he trains so consistently is that he's always in a good position to cut weight, as he's always in shape. However, you just need to look at his frame as a welterweight, and he's absolutely huge in my opinion. And I think as he gets older, he will naturally get bigger and will have to move up in weight. But as you can see, Jaron takes his recovery sessions very seriously, as he knows the importance of it contributing to his performance. For me, Jaron's mentality is clear. He generally wants to challenge himself to be the very best. His father Bozy provides great guidance, ensuring Jaron stays out of trouble and continually strives to be the best he can. And I really do believe that strong support system that he's had from a young age will really help him when the challenges start to step up. You just need to listen to him in interviews and you really get the sense that he does want to be boxing's pound for pound best.
Like I said before, every fight I have, I always go into a fight like I'm fighting for a world title. I don't care if I'm fighting somebody 0-100. So I'm going to always be well prepared and, you know, be focused and locked in because it's boxing and anything can happen. I still feel like I didn't show the world my full potential. Yeah, I say about like 30%, 40%.
Wow. Boots, come on, man. If you being modest, huh?
I will be the best ever, you know, the greatest, you know, 3 to 4 different undisputed weight, multi-division champ with different things like that.
Yep.
You know, just keep watching me. I mean, if you really want to be great, sometimes you just gotta fight, you know, and it's not about the money, you know, and you want to be a legend, you gotta just fight. So with me, like I always say, it ain't about the money for me. I don't care where it's at. I could be in your living room, your backyard. I just love fighting, love beating people up, and I just want my opportunity, and if I get my opportunity, I'm definitely going to take it. When I'm not in the gym, I feel like I'm lost. I feel like I got to be in the gym. I got to stay in the gym at all times. I got to stay on point. Can't let nobody get one up on me.
Hopefully this video has shown you how Jaron literally works his boots off to be the best skillfully, physically, and even mentally. And having done many How Champions Trains videos by this point, Boots Ennis for me has to be one of the most gifted athletes I've ever watched. And I'm truly excited to see how far Boots can go. This has been Jamie from Boxing Life. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Boots Ennis training. Do you think with his work ethic he'll reach the top? If you want more content like this, I recommend you check out my How Champions Train video on Terence Crawford. Thanks so much for watching, and as always guys, I'll see you in the next one.